So this spear of destiny is all about Hitler and his obsession with this spear of destiny. And the spear is the one that speared Jesus, okay? And there's all this history around that. However, in his younger days, he was very obsessed with it. He was in the occult. And so the legend says, not that Jesus says this about the spear, but the legend is that whoever possessed the spear that pierced Christ's side would be invincible, but losing it would bring instant death. See, Hitler was about, the other thing with the Epstein and Hitler, because again, there's a connection here to them, because the Epstein family and the Rothchild family funded the housing that Hitler was staying in. It was like a shelter back when he was in his younger days as a starving artist. And yet, Hitler was about having a 1,000-year Reich. Yeah, not the 1,000-year kingdom, millennial, 1,000-year Reich. And so there's a reason. It's very obvious to me why transhumanists, people like Epstein, people like Rothschild, these people that are not right in the head, okay, are obsessed with transhumanism and living as long as they can, because I think they somehow think they know they've been up to no good, okay, because they usually have been. And they think as the longer they live, the longer they get to avoid God's justice, not realizing, no, God can bring justice to you even when you're alive. But, this is this obsession, and Epstein took it to a whole new level with his, that Zorro Ranch there. I forget where, New Mexico, and that's where he was going to be impregnating all these young women. And but anyway, regarding this, as soon as Hitler was annexed, as Hitler annexed Austria in 1938, the first thing he did was to go to the Hofburg Museum in Vienna to claim the spear. He literally was going to get his hands on this. He didn't, but he wanted to because of the legend. Maybe he moved it to Nuremberg as a sacred Nazi relic. So maybe he did. I didn't get the impression he did get it. For Hitler, the spear was a way to link himself to the Holy Roman Emperors, Holy Roman Emperors, and Charlemagne. And it was all, he knew that he was up to wickedness. He knew it. And the closest thing for Hitler's temple would be Himmler's. This was the West. Can I pronounce this name? This castle. I think it's in Austria, maybe. I forget, but the West Hollow Castle. It doesn't matter. It was where Himmler, one of Hitler's men, it was his castle, and it was often used. They set up altars here, and you could look at it as the Temple of Fuhrer. It was designed to be a secular temple where Hitler would be worshipped as a godlike figure. It was inspired by Pantheon Rome, but was 16 times larger and meant to make the individual feel completely insignificant in the face of the state. Yeah, he was all about recreating structures and geometry and all this, the Freemason kind of stuff. And in Munich, Munich, Germany, if you saw my last video, Hitler built 2 honor temples to house relics of the Nazis killed during the failed Bear Hall of 1923. These weren't just tombs, they were active shrines where guards stood watch 24/7, and every citizen was required to perform the Nazi salute when passing. They were temples to death and sacrifice for the cause. But Epstein had his temple too. All dabbling with this geometry, the mathematics, obsessed with science, obsessed with creating the perfect race. And so, it's easy for people to make the excuse like Dave Smith, Candace Owens, because Epstein's Jewish. But what they do that's so damaging, in my opinion, and that's why I just think they're up to evilness, is you have to separate, okay? That most of the Jews are not like that. Yet these damn people regurgitate the same bullshit that Hitler did. The Jews control the world. Okay, the Jews this, the Jews that, the Jews are eating children. And and some people are saying in that document dump, but there's this can't, but Epstein and Hitler were really no different. So you need to take the Jewish part out of it. I get Epstein was Jewish, Rothchild was Jewish, and their families funded Hitler's home. But Hitler wasn't Jewish. He was attacking the innocent. Let's remember, there's innocent Jews, okay? That's all I'm trying to say. If you keep listening to Candace Owens, you're serving the Reich, as far as I'm concerned. But for these two, this was just a continuation of the beast. So it's like, then you look at the world, and it's like, this is where I get so lost sometimes. I'm like, God, where does this end? Okay, because you're not going to get somebody that's going to fix this, because what it is that energy of the Prince of Darkness. It's the magnetic field, really. In my opinion, that is the Prince of Darkness. That when that's lifted from around the earth, and God lifts it, not us, but God does, because there's no reason for it. Everybody says it protects us from the atmosphere. Yeah, but if God wanted to take it down because he decided to remove the Prince of Darkness, then we would be fine, because he was taking it down. But think about just the megalomaniac here stuff. The insanity of it all. This is the world we live in. And most people, they don't want to look at that, right? And so they think, oh, just don't talk about it. No, that's what everybody's done. That's what I mean when you look at the Holocaust, which is something that's always bothered me because of just so much horrid. Like, there's nothing more evil. I get that Russia's had bad men, China does, but this was just killing people because they were Jewish, and then some Polish and Gypsy, but the majority Jewish, they wanted to wipe them out. And then it is confusing, because it's like, he's Jewish, but it doesn't matter. They're just sick psychopaths. And we have been living under the energy of sick psychopaths. That's why I get tired sometimes of everybody acting like, oh, the world's so wonderful. No, it's not. I get you don't want to stay in some depressed place. I don't want people to be in that place either, because I have hope in God. I just wish more people would realize, yeah, go about your everyday like everything's normal. There's nothing normal about what you live under. You can keep trying to tell yourself it is. And the government and the churches and everybody can act like, we know there's wickedness, but it's not controlling everything. Yes, it is. And it's not because God, it is God. God ultimately controls everything. But he would not continue to allow the Prince of Darkness to have the reign that he does if people realized that it's you keep trying to exercise this will of yours that got you in this mess. And this is what these men were, biological chess. That's literally Epstein talked about, biological chess. He was doing the same thing Hitler. He wanted this certain race. At Himmler's castle, okay, they had on the floor of this castle a black sun floor, like that. But so did Epstein, on Epstein's temple. So can you see how this is the same problem? And then most people would say, see, there's not a God. No, there is a God. But, we play a role in wanting to recognize that we need God's help. We don't get out of this without him. You want accountability? It's got to be God.